Hello and welcome to this mandolin lesson. This is aimed at absolute beginners who are just starting out learning chords. So if you've done any kind of work on chords before, you will probably know most of the subjects in this lesson. And I've done another lesson alongside this that's aimed at slightly more intermediate players, and that is linked below. In this lesson we're going to just look at the real essentials for playing chords on the mandolin, what you need to be doing to make sure you're set up in the right way to play any chords in the future. And our starting point is the three main chords. If you were to only learn 3 chords on the mandolin, make it these 3 chords. Chord number 1 is a G chord. Now I'm not going to go into chord theory in this lesson, we're just going to learn the shapes, so you just have to trust me on this. So for our G chord, we want open string on the G, open string on the D, and then on the A string we want the 2nd fret, and then on the highest E string we want the 3rd fret. So the frets we're playing are O, O, 2, 3. And hopefully you can see in the diagram that is currently next to me how that translates into what we call a chord chart, where you essentially are looking at the strings head on. So you've got 2 dots on the open strings, and then you've got a dot on the 2nd fret, and then a dot on the 3rd fret. So that's how you read a chord chart. So that is a G. That is your most important chord. Even for beginner players, as you moved up to intermediate, you'll find that chord always comes back round and is used. So that's a G. Get that ingrained in your head as soon as possible. The next chord is actually very similar. It's a C chord, and all you're going to do is you're going to take your 2 fingers and you're going to move them both over 1 string. So now we have open string on the G, and then on the D string we have the 2nd fret, and then on the A string we have the 3rd fret, and now we have an open E string. So that is a C. So, and hopefully you can see by the chart how that makes sense. O, 2, 3, O. So what you need to do now is just practice going between those 2 chords. Just pause this video and practice going between those 2 chords. What you don't want is you don't want your hand to go from here to here to here. Okay, if you can see how my fingers are moving as a unit, they're not changing, they're just moving together. The more you can do that, the better you'll be at playing chords. So we don't want this, we want this. So just pause this video and practice going between those 2 chords before you move any further. And the 3rd chord that you should learn is the D chord. This is a little different, so we kind of need to reset our hand. And it looks like this. You kind of have to slightly move your hand around a little bit to reach that D chord. Now I play this with my 1st and 2nd finger. Some people play this with 3rd and 2nd finger. I don't really mind which one you do. Just whichever one suits your hand better. But what you want is 2nd fret on the lowest string, then 2 open, and then 2nd fret on the highest string. So 2, 0, 0, 2. Hopefully you can see that with the chart down here. 2, 0, 0, 2, and it sounds like this. That is the D chord. Now obviously the tricky bit now is getting back to the other chords as quick as possible. Just like we don't want our hand to go wandering in the other one, we don't want D, reset, and then G, we want D to G. So if you can see, my 2nd finger actually stays on the string there. In the D chord it's here, and then it slides down to G here. So again, pause this video and just practice going between D and G. Just keep playing it over and over again until you get, the quicker you can change between the chords, the better you'll be at playing chords. So just practice now, to pause the video and practice going through those chords. Don't worry about your right hand, just kind of do 1 strum per chord. Get those ingrained in your head, G, C, D. Make sure you know which one's which. This should be almost instant recall, and then we'll come back and we'll start playing a chord progression. Before we can play with other people, we need to know what our right hand should be doing. We can't just bash thrash any old rhythm out. So the foundations of playing chords on the mandolin is built on what I call like a bass strum rhythm. So if we do this over the G chord to start with, so you should be pretty quick to get your G chord now. And we want, basically we're going to play each chord in 2 notes. The first one, you're just going to play the lowest string, so this open string here. So that's our bass. And then the strum, as you might imagine by the name strum, is... So they see it as a pair. So bass, strum. So try and loop some of those together like this. So bass, strum, bass, strum. Yeah. And now let's try that over the C chord. Bass, strum, bass, strum. And if you notice, I'm going, all of these notes are down. So down, 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 down. You do not want to be going down, up, down. That's wrong. These all need to be down, and you will thank me as your future self. So down, 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 down. And then finally try it on D. Like that. So it's bass, strum, bass, strum. Okay, so pause this video again and practice going between them. Just change at random, just change when you feel like. So this is where the not resetting your hand becomes. If you're going, you know, there's big gaps between your chord changes. Your left hand needs to go straight away to the next chord. The quicker it goes, the cleaner it will be, and the better you'll be at playing chords. The final thing we need to do before we can play a chord progression is we need to know how to count chords. How do we know how many chords we're playing in a song? So there's 2 ways, realistically, that you can do this. The first one is what I'm not going to cover in this lesson, because that is kind of requires you to do your own work, and that way is just by listening. You know, if you already know the song, then you might know what word the chord is changing. So it might change on a particular word, and you're just listening out for that word. When I first went to a jam session, I was told just to watch the guitarist's hands. So that's what I did when I went to a session in the round. I just sat and stared at the guitarist and learnt what a G chord on a guitar looked like, looking from my point of view, and learnt what the guitar shape looked like. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we're not going to do that in this lesson, because there's not much I can teach on that other than you just working it out for yourself and kind of playing along and hearing where the chord changes are. What we can do in this lesson is chord charts, which are quite common, and it's important to know how to count the chords. So when you see a chord chart in 4/4, like this one, you can see there's this one's G, C, and D, this chord progression, and you can see that there's effectively 2 letter Gs per bar. And if you line that up with a bar of bass strum, you'll see that 1 letter G in a chord chart equates to 1 bass and strum. So that's 1 G. So if I was to count Gs as I go, 1, 2 Gs, 3 Gs, 4 Gs. It's up to you which one you count on. So when I hit a bass note, that's my count note. You can count on the strum as well if you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can count there if you want. I prefer to count on the bass. So just as a practice, let's together now, I want you to try and play 4 Gs, as this chord progression here shows. 4 Gs, 4 Cs, 4 Ds, and then back to 4 Gs. Okay? So maybe after 4, and I'll count them with you. I'll do it once where I'll count it with you, and then we'll do it again where I'm not counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, back to G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do it again, and this time I'm not going to count out loud, so you kind of have to count in your own head where the chord changes are. And by the way, this is the chord progression for a bluegrass song called Blue Ridge Cabin Home, so I've not just made it up randomly. So here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So to finish this beginner lesson on chords, and this is definitely aimed at beginners, I'm just going to summarise what are the basic things you need to worry about, and then I'm going to rope in my bandmate Jay to play 2 songs on the violin or fiddle, and you're going to play the chord progression. I should have mentioned earlier, but all of the chord shapes and chord charts are on a free PDF worksheet that you can download below. And we're going to do 2 songs that you hopefully know, You Are My Sunshine and She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, both in G. And once you've kind of learnt this, once you've learnt how to count chords, so you know how to play 4 Gs, 6 Gs if you see it in a line, once you've learnt to play that bass strum, which is the most important thing to be honest, because nothing worse than a mandolin player going... That helps no one. A nice little bit of rhythm is all you need to do. And then once you get in your head that the quicker you move between chords, the quicker your fingers stay as a group rather than going from here, reset to here. Those 3 things, so moving quickly between the chords, getting the rhythm right and counting the chords properly, you will be able to play any song in no time. So as I just mentioned, let's play You Are My Sunshine. I'm going to rope Jay in. She'll play the melody. We'll just play it once through. The chord chart is on the worksheet, so please do go and download that. And yeah, we'll play it at a speed that you'll be able to play it along with. And loop back if you get it wrong first time. So after 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, G. And finally, let's play She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain, again with Jay playing the melody, and again just loop back if you get it wrong. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanks for your help, Jay. I hope you enjoyed playing along with me and her. Please do remember those 3 main points of the lesson today. Really quick transitions between chords, the bass, strum, rhythm, and counting chords. On the worksheet, I've also included 6 other chord shapes that you should know as a beginner mandolin player. So there's quite a lot of there for you to be working on. If you've got this pretty quickly, have a look at the intermediate lesson. That's also linked below. Thanks for downloading. If you need anything else, head over to mandomike.com and I'll see you next month.